Joined now by Charlie Gasparino, Fox Business. Got a brand new book out. Going to dive into that and more, but let's just start right off the top. How crazy was Kamala's economic speech on Friday from your perspective as someone that understands the economy a little bit?
Well, I mean, if you like what happens in Venezuela, it's the old Soviet Union, it's completely normal. But if if you're any sort of half sentient student of history, or you've taken Econ 101, I don't even think you need to take Econ 101. I think you just need to balance a checking account to understand that was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, particularly the sort of cross contradictions. Like, she's going to get rid of inflation. That's a big thing. But she's going to put these price controls on stuff that's going to limit supply. That's going to make inflation even worse. I mean, that's been the history of it. When you start, mandating prices from what stuff should be priced, government creating an agency to do that, it creates shortages. It's dumb. It's futile. I still can't believe she's getting away with it as much as she is with the mainstream media, because business journalists generally read balance sheets every now and then. At least I used to a lot. You would think some of these people at the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, not the editorial page, but the news pages, that they had some sort of inkling about basic economics to laugh this thing out of the park. I just think it's pathetic, and it's where the Democratic Party is going. I mean, think about it. Bill Clinton's going to speak at the DNC, I think, in 2 days, right? When he was president, he did just the opposite. Just the opposite. As a matter of fact, he worked with Newt Gingrich to lower capital gains. He freed up the internet. He did not impose massive regulations. He created a vast new technology. He lowered taxes in his second term. He enacted welfare reform. He did all the things that she is now running against. She's actually running against Bill Clinton, and it's fascinating what happened during the Clinton years, which was, especially that second term, it was a remarkable 4 years of economic growth. And look what we got now. I mean, it's just amazing where the Democratic Party has gone. It's gone wickedly socialist.
Talking to Charlie Gasparino, got a new book out, Go Woke, Go Broke, the inside story of the radicalization of corporate America. Charlie, just back on the Democrat versus Republican view of the economy right now. Obviously, Democrats are trying to say that this is a strong economy despite the very high prices and the inflation that has been a major challenge for Biden all along. Do you think that this is going to be an area where the propaganda just is insufficient, as in no matter how many times they tell persuadable voters the economy's good, they feel it themselves in a way where they know that's not true? Or are you concerned that maybe they can fool people on this one?
Well, they do have, they do have soldiers in their fight, which is most of the mainstream media. You take a few, heterodox views out of the mainstream media, and it's very much a cheerleading section for this economy and for Joe Biden, for Kamala Harris. What I do think, though, that given all the cheerleading that's going into the left these days from the media, particularly if on running against Trump, because I think the mainstream media generally considers Trump this sort of existential threat to democracy and the world peace. They look at him as sort of another level evil, and that's they wouldn't look at it if Ron DeSantis runs. I'm not saying he would have gotten a better shake out of the mainstream media, but it would have been less hot. Be that as it may, Trump is still either winning right now or just a little bit behind, even despite this love affair. And the reason why that is because people just kind of know it. I mean, you could tell someone they feel good, they should feel good, but if they, how some doctors say, well, you're fine, but you feel lousy, then you go and get a second opinion, and all of a sudden, you realize you're sick. Most Americans don't, when you tell them they feel good and they don't feel good, when they know that the rate of inflation is down from its peak, but prices have not come down. And they know their wages haven't kept up with those prices, which is the obvious reality of the last 4 years. There's no amount of spinning. And if what keeps Trump in this race I think, is the fact that for all the stuff that he says, and he says some things that he probably shouldn't say, stuff that, gets him in trouble all the time. The reality is when he ran things, the country was in better economic shape than when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden ran things. And it's hard to spin out of that. And that's why this race is close. It's also close because, Donald Trump just he's not run an effective campaign. That might change now. Kind of seems like it is lately. He seems to be honing in on the message of the economy. I wrote a whole book about corporate wokeness. I mean, Americans hate that too. I mean, here's the thing I will say. If there's one thing I kind of analogize, and when I think why I think Trump is probably going to win, despite everything he says that gets him in trouble. When I did this book, one of the things that's so obvious is that if you take Budweiser, that went woke, wickedly woke,
yep,
with a trans woman as essentially an influencer. Disney, which felt the need to gratuitously insert same-sex kissing scenes into children's cartoons. Target, which had its gay Pride Month displays that had tuck-friendly bathing suits next to rainbow-colored onesies. The sort of leftism of the investment community through environmental social governments and what happened at BlackRock. At each of those instances, and I'm leaving out many more, that's all I'm reading in the book, the consumer rejected it viciously. BlackRock lost $2 trillion in assets under management when it became this sort of poster child for lefty ESG investing. Disney stock hasn't moved since 2014. It's the same price, essentially. Budweiser went from number one beer to number three. Target had to scale back its Pride displays because people weren't going shopping. The American consumer hates wokeness. Kamala Harris has declared wokeness to be the best thing since sliced bread and the French fry. She said it. Will the American people support an uber woke presidential candidate? The consumer won't do it. I can't imagine voters are going to do it. But,
let's just talk bare bones here, straight economics, right? Let's leave aside, because I love everything that you're saying about the failure. I've been on this, Buck and I have been on this for a long time about go woke, go broke, and how it's destroyed brands, whether it's Bud Light, Disney, you name them. From a pure economic perspective, let's say that we know who wins the election on November 5th. Wall Street wakes up on the morning of November 6th, and Kamala Harris is coming into office. What does Wall Street do? What is the reaction in your mind?
Well, there's two Wall Streets, remember. There is the thing known as the stock market, which Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink and all those players, they don't really control that. That's millions and millions of individual people reacting to news and using that reaction to what they see is coming in the future to bet on, corporate America's future, whether earnings will go up or down based on whatever policies come out of Washington, which will impact those earnings. So that's one thing. Then you have the street, Jamie Dimon, Larry Fink. If he gets elected, listen, they're going to go on bended knee and, make nice with her because they have to. The financial sector is a heavily regulated entity. Do they go back to being woke? I don't think they do, because they not only have to answer to Kamala Harris, but they have to answer to me and you and Buck and our wives and people who just don't like this stuff. So that's another thing. Now the stock market's going to be interesting to see how that reacts to Kamala Harris, because if you follow what she's saying, I don't know, spending more money than we have. I mean, does she raise corporate taxes? That's usually not good for her earnings. Does she, does she spend? Does she do price controls, which is absurd and, can lead to higher inflation, which could lead to higher interest rates on bonds, which leads to higher interest rates on mortgages. I mean, she could be a hugely destabilizing factor if she gets in there. Now, if she gets in there, now you have to game plan this if you're an investor, because I think about this all day. If she gets in there with the Republican House and Senate, well, then it's gridlock. So maybe nothing happens. But who knows? I mean, remember one thing. The president does, to a large extent, control the administrative state, which is hugely powerful. And it's extra. Lately it's grown in power because of a lot of reasons, because that makes it more powerful than Congress's checks and balances. So remember that
Charlie.
she gets the point. The people running the FTC, the SEC, all those alphabet agencies that are very important. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Charlie Gasparino, the book, Go Woke, Go Broke, the inside story of radicalization of corporate America. Charlie, congrats on the book. Good luck to you, and come back and talk to us soon. We'll do more economy, education stuff. Be fun.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just saw, Buck, where Israel has activated even more of its reserve soldiers as they are in fear of a Hezbollah, Iran, Gaza, Hamas attack at any point in time, as they have been for some time. I'm scheduled to go over now in December. We had to cancel the trip that I was going to take because all the airplane flights got canceled. Bomb shelters, people are getting prepared, rushing into them all the time. Since the war started last October, when Hamas attacked Israel from so many different places, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews has been on the forefront addressing the needs of the most vulnerable. That's why we're partnering with the IFCJ this year. Your life-saving donations will help provide emergency food as well as critical security needs, flak jackets, firefighting equipment, armored vehicles, bomb shelters, and more. If you can make a donation to the fellowship in the amount of $150, you'll be helping the IFCJ help Israel's allies that need our help at this time. Thanks to a generous IFCJ supporter, your gift will be matched, doubling your impact. Call to make your gift right now, 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-IFCJ, 4325 if you're wondering what those numbers are. You can also go online to supportifcj.org to give. That's one word, supportifcj.org. Join us in supporting Israel right now at supportifcj.org.